Federal government's decision allowing the resources sector to use foreign workers has placed further pressure on Julia Gillard's leadership.
The first of the controversial recruitments is with Gina Rinehart's Roy Hill iron ore project in WA. Joining us to talk about the move is the Minister for Industry and Climate Change, Greg Combet, and he's talking to Sky News Chief Political Reporter Kieran Gilbert. Kieran.
Greg Combet, thanks very much for your time.
Good day, Kieran.
Can I start by getting your reaction to the news that the engineering company Hasty Group has apparently collapsed under debts estimated at $500 million? That's another 2,000 jobs lost.
Well, obviously extremely concerning reports. I haven't seen a press release or a statement from the company yet, so I don't want to prejudge anything, but obviously reports are extremely concerning and further evidence of the patchwork nature of the economy, booming in some areas but intense pressure in others. But in a circumstance like this, you've got to be very concerned for the workers and their families.
Well, can you understand then the concerns of your former union counterparts and Labor MPs? Doug Cameron apparently is going to make a statement in the caucus tomorrow along these lines, worried about this enterprise migration agreement done that brings in foreign workers to the multi-billion-dollar mining projects. Why can't we get people unemployed in the slow lane of the economy into those jobs?
Well, I understand it because I share their concerns. Obviously, in all these large resource projects where jobs are growing, we want to get Australians into those jobs first. So that's what these enterprise migration agreements are about, is essentially assuring the project proponents, and particularly the investors, that there's going to be the labour force there to be able to bring the construction phase of the project off. In particular, these are in remote parts of the country, and it's endeavoured to try and make sure there's the confidence to commit the tens of billions of dollars that are coming in, but it doesn't mean that Australians won't get access to those jobs first, and the government is committed to bring that about.
Why are the unions ropeable? Why are some of your own colleagues, Labor people, not happy about it?
For the very reasons that you've conducted this interview. You know, that in some areas of the economy there are great pressures. Unions are representing people there, particularly in the manufacturing industry, where some people are unfortunately losing their jobs, and they want to ensure that there is best access to areas where jobs are growing, and the government will do that. And you would have heard the description of this jobs board. It'll be a web-based service where, you know, workers in any part of the country can identify that they are interested in that job, and we'd expect the project proponents in the resource sector, and we'll make sure this happens, that they take up Australians for those jobs first.
There's tension in the government as to what the Prime Minister knew about this announcement and when. Apparently she told the union leaders she only found out about it a couple of days before the announcement. Others in the government are suggesting she should have known about it a few weeks before. Regardless of what's right in this, it's not a good look, is it? It looks dysfunctional.
I think there's two things with this. One is the enterprise migration agreement idea and policy outcome has been around for quite a long time, and it's been through all the processes. When it comes, though, to a ministerial approval of a specific project, there are commercial confidentiality issues that have to be considered, and that, I think, has got in the way of some of the complete knowledge of everyone who has an interest in this issue. So
it doesn't look good, though, does it? It looks dysfunctional. The Prime Minister's saying, I found out about this 2 days ago to Paul Howe's, Dave Oliver.
It's not dysfunctional. Governments have to make these decisions. They have to consult to the extent that they can, respect commercial confidentiality to the extent that they can. There are billions of dollars mixed up in that particular project, and there will be others of a similar nature. The key thing is that we ensure that Australians get access to these jobs first, but at the end of the day, as a backup, if it is needed, that there is a sufficient workforce available to bring those projects off, because you can't let them fall over for lack of a labour force. And the other point that's important, Kieran, in this is that it is not everyone's cup of tea to be flying in and flying out of different parts of Australia to the far northwest to do 2 weeks on of 12-hour shifts or whatever it may be, and then 2 weeks off. A lot of people are doing that from northern Tasmania, from the Latrobe Valley, from different parts of Australia, even coming from New Zealand to fly up to the northwest at the moment because of the demand for labour. You know, the economy is exceptionally strong. And just imagine a position. I mean, I grew up when unemployment was sort of usually around 8, 9, 10% or something. Western Australia, it's 3.8%.
Okay, well, on two other matters I've got to ask you about this morning. Joel Fitzgibbon, apparently, shifted his allegiance. He thinks that there should be a turn to Kevin Rudd. You indicated yesterday that he would have to answer some questions. Made a statement on Twitter. Wasn't that convincing, to be honest?
Well, I don't know that I'm not a commentator on this. The first thing is that...
He sent a tweet in response to a question, and it said...
but hold on.
He wasn't emphatic.
The only person that can answer what's going on in Joel's head is Joel himself. That's why I made the observation that perhaps someone should ask Joel. So he's put some statement out. I haven't read it. I saw it reported on the news. The PM's satisfied with that, and it's a call for her at the end of the day.
Okay, and lastly, pensioner compensation goes out today on the carbon tax.
The most important part of your question.
That's the last question. Yeah. But there's all these other focuses.
It starts rolling out today, that's right. And so from today, advance payments of $250 for a single pensioner, $380 for coupled pensioners will be going into people's bank accounts, and that'll continue over the balance of May and June.
So why do people
in the lead
still
up to the carbon price coming in?
Why do they still think the carbon tax is going to be so damaging to their prospects when you argue, the government would argue, that they're going to be better off under the carbon tax? How come the government's so poorly explain this to them?
Look, there's a long way to go in all this. They say a week's a long time in politics, a year's a long time in politics too. You know, Tony Abbott's whipped up such fear and hysteria. He'll stop at nothing. You know, any form of deceit is within his ballpark, and that's what he's been doing. But as the facts come forward, as we roll out the assistance packages, as we introduce the carbon price, people will see that firstly millions of households are going to be better off because of the tax cuts, pension increases and other payments we're making, and that this is a manageable economic and environmental reform, and it's the right thing to do. And we'll keep arguing our case.
Mr. Combet, thanks for your time.
Thanks, Kieran.